The vehicle that we got within the shop today is going to be a 2011 cabin chassis 4500 series Ram pickup. I want to show you how to get to and what you need to take off the one of two knock sensor. Now it's not knock as in knock sensor like any gas engine that detects pinging or anything or pre-detonation. This is an NOx, NOx. That's what we're going to be working on today. Let's go ahead and I'll get my hands dirty while you sit there and watch. Alright, so we got our part in hand. We got our replacement knock sensor. Now the sensor itself looks basically like a typical O2 to a degree. Now the wiring is actually incorporated to where it's part of the module itself. The module has one connector for the main body, the vehicle harness, and two bolts that hold it down. They do not recommend removing this connector, so when you do get your replacement part, it will come together. This particular one is the downstream, so it's going to be at the rear of the SCR catalyst. The description they give is it's a one of two, so of course two being downstream. The upstream doesn't look too much different, it's fairly similar, has a module attached as well. Depending on the year, some of them have an upstream, some will not, some will just have a downstream. Usually when you see both an upstream and downstream knock sensor, that pretty much means you're not going to have O2 sensors. So it just depends on the make and model. This particular one being a 2011, two knock sensors. So I'll show you, we'll get up under that vehicle over there, and I'll show you step by step where it's at, what you need to do to take it off. Alright, so to give you a basic visual of where we're at right now, this is actually the drive shaft right here, going towards the rear of the vehicle. We're about 2 feet in front of the rear diff on one of the frame rails going up under the bed. And there is your module that the knock sensor actually is part of or comes with. And this is the one connector we'll be taking loose, and our two 10mm nuts that are mounted on studs. There's nothing real fancy about the connector other than just squeezing in and start pulling it out. And of course you got your 2 10s. Like I said, don't bother with that connector. We're replacing it, so that's fine. But if you're trying to diag it or do anything, leave that connector alone. They've had a lot of issues of once they're taken apart, they don't want to go back in right, and you have even more problems. Then you end up replacing the assembly anyway, just like we're doing today. This one's got a little heat shield on the back, evidently, so we'll keep up with that when we go back with the new one. And evidently, the back one, as you've seen, it must have been a stud that fell down in the back. Yeah, there you go. You just have to reach down in there and grab that stud back out of the little trough of this frame and stick it back through and kind of hold it on the back side as you snug it down. Obviously, they don't make them to where they fasten down and stay in there, and they just fall through basically like a bolt. So we'll pay attention when we go back with that. Now all we got to do is start unfastening the harness as we go towards where the knock sensor is. So, probably within about 3 feet of where that module was, if you follow it down to the exhaust, you'll find that's the knock sensor, downstream version, right after the SCR catalyst. Now, the newer one has the threads in. It's actually a threaded sleeve. There's no problem with threading that in, it goes fine. On the older one, they usually have a tendency to kind of freeze up where they are. Not necessarily in the exhaust, but as far as on the knock sensor itself. So sometimes when you go to loosen them up, the whole wire and everything's on one spin, so it comes off. No problem there. Just remember that the new one doesn't do that, so you ain't got to worry about binding up the wiring. I just personally use a crescent wrench. It's never really super tight. They always come out fairly easy. Like I said, you can see how the sleeve is part of the sensor right now. It doesn't want to turn separate, so I'm kind of pigtailing all the wiring as I'm backing it out. There we go. Now we'll get our replacement one. Just route it the same direction we just did that one. Now, one thing that helps, the new one here, if you can tell by looking at it, has some anti-seize on it. And definitely, if you're going back either with an older one or a replacement, make sure you got anti-seize. That way you don't ever have to worry about it binding up inside the threads like you sometimes find on some O2 sensors. Now it's just a matter of tightening it up, snug it up. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and start routing the module where we want it to go. Pretty much the same way it came off. And then we'll work on getting the stud back through the frame and keeping it where it needs to be. So the knock sensor's in on our cabin chassis. As you saw, I didn't take many tools at all. Fairly minimal, 10mm crescent wrench. Otherwise, it's pretty cut and dry. Just don't want to unhook that connector. Use some anti-seize. Everything should go pretty well. The content of the video is mainly just to show you where it was and how to access it. It's nothing real difficult at all. So if you do need to do it, don't hesitate. So with that, I appreciate you watching my videos. Always feel free to leave any kind of comments. Either thumbs up, thumbs down, either way. I'm a big boy, I can take it. So I appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you.